All right, I think it's time to take the rear end off of this frame, get the frame stripped down so that we can see what we got to work with and start looking at how we're going to go about incorporating the rear swing arm into this chassis. So we'll get to work. All right, so got the rear axle off, which was actually more difficult than I expected. It's over here. Then I pulled out the 200X steering stem, and I found that we are going to have a problem. As you can see here, the steering stem is going to be too short from the 200X for this 185 frame. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably cut the steering stem somewhere across the middle and sleeve the stem and then re-weld it to lengthen it. The next step will be just to unbolt this exhaust and remove the rear toolbox / storage box compartment and take the wiring off the frame, and that'll be about it for this frame. And then we can look at modifying it to accommodate the rear swing arm. So what you haven't seen from the last video is the painted rear swing arm. The repair right in there came out great, and I think the satin black looks a lot better than the so-called aluminum gray paint that I tried. So we're going to stick with the satin black, and the idea will be to figure out how to graft this swing arm into this 185 frame. So the good news is that the 185 frame seems to be pretty wide up in this section, and we're going to be removing this back. So I think we can probably fit some brackets inside of here to support the swing arm bolt. And it might not take all that much to fit this swing arm in there. The dimensions should be pretty close. If we have to, we can trim a little bit off of this swing arm. You see you got some space there and a little bit of room on this side. So I think one way or another that we can get this to sit in there, something like that, and make this thing into a two-wheel frame. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on, remove the exhaust, remove the rear box, remove the wiring harness, and we'll be left with the frame to start looking at what we need to do to make this swing arm fit. So here it is, all stripped down. Got the exhaust off, got the rear compartment off, got the wiring all off. Everything's up here, the original muffler, the storage compartment, and what minimal wiring there really is, the coil, the CDI, not much there at all. So at this point, we can take some measurements and see what it's going to take to get this into the back. So it looks like, if you look at the frame here, if we were to just cut out everything in here, okay, inside of there, and just leave this main support here and this structure back here, we pretty much have what we need to insert the swing arm in place here and run the shock from the swing arm up to the frame here. That would pretty much give us what we need. So I don't think it's going to take a whole lot. So I'll get some measurements. We'll see what we have to cut out. We'll go from there. That's the basic profile right there, and hopefully I don't have to remove any of these additional supports, but if I do, I do. Let's see what happens. But basically, the frame back here isn't quite wide enough for the swing arm to sit inside. There is a way to put some brackets on the outside of the frame and make that work, but essentially it's pretty close. And just for a quick glance, it would basically be looking something like this. All for now, guys.